Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about South Park. South Park is one of my favorite shows of all time. I would have to say, potentially even my favorite show of all time. The show is just, it's so meta, and everything it just does so well. It's incredibly funny, and it's just such an enjoyable show to watch, and I just want to talk about it. South Park has been on the air for about 23 years, and I have to say there hasn't really been a time, in my opinion, where the show has like dropped in quality or has gotten like just people. It's not one of those shows that have been like on for so long. It's like, oh yeah, it's not as good as the old seasons. But South Park, I don't really think has gone through it because South Park has been able to just change and adapt so well, and that's one of the things I love about it. South Park is not afraid to take any topic, any person, any event, and just fucking turn it around, change everything, put it in a satirical manner that just makes for an incredibly funny episode. And again, they don't care what it is. They'll make fun of anybody. They'll make fun of any group, any event. They'll put anything in a satirical manner. And that's the one thing I love about the show. South Park it's not a show for everybody. And I say that for those people out there who get offended very easily. Because again, they make fun of anything. Anything you could think of, they probably made a joke about it. And their jokes can get pretty fucking brutal. Their jokes can get very, like, offensive, very kind of dark in some senses, and it's not for everybody. But I absolutely love it. South Park has made episodes on countless different topics from just anything you could think of. They made episodes about like getting shots, World of Warcraft, school shootings, you name it. They've probably made an episode about it. And again, they do it in like a satirical manner. They always like spin it on themselves and like they always find some way to make it funny. Examples like the immunization episode where they have to get Cartman has to get a shot. Cartman is like terrified of needles, and he's literally just has never gotten a single like immunization shot in his life. So they had to go out and literally like hire somebody who are like hog people. I don't know. They like catch hogs or whatever, and then they put in like this pen where they like catch them like they're pigs, like they're like wild hogs running around, so they can just force them to take their shot. It's hilarious. Another example being that World of Warcraft episode. They talk about how this is during like Classic WoW when that was just like regular World of Warcraft. And for all of you who play Classic WoW, you know how fucked the leveling system is and how incredibly hard it is to grind. And then the whole thing was that like the boys or whatever, they had to grind levels so they can just fight this player who's literally the strongest player in the game because he just goes around killing everybody. So they have to just grind levels for like 7 weeks, I think, if I remember correctly, just so they could fight him. And they constantly are making jokes about how they have like no lives and stuff. Every character in South Park is unique, and I absolutely love like because the way they make the characters is that like their personality and like who they are, it ties into like an idea or something. Like for example, you know, Kyle is this character who is he's morally right. He's somebody who always fights for the right thing. You know, he always wants to do what's right, and he's a very like morally good person. While you have Cartman, who's like a fucking diabolical mastermind who'll fucking manipulate anybody and anything he can to get his way. They just add characters too sometimes just to talk like just to even make episodes or just like put new characters in, but they always again like have a theme or a topic. Like another example is when they added Timmy, they were making their joke was that Timmy he was mentally retarded. But I think the whole joke was of the episode was that they thought he had like ADHD or ADD, one of those two things. And they were just glossing over the fact that he's mentally retarded. It's like, uh-oh, it looks like he's got ADD or whatever. And then you have characters, you know, like Tweek and Craig, who literally have changed over time to represent some other group or to some other topic, you know. Of course, if you are fans of the show, you know that Tweek and Craig are now gay and and now they are a couple in the show. But they never were in the past. I don't remember exactly what season this started, but I mean, they never were. And it was never really hinted at or anything, and they just kind of changed these characters. And the way they changed it too was just very genius. Because in the episode, the characters like they denied being gay, but then they're just like, let's just do it for everybody else, because like literally everybody in town was like supporting them and stuff, and their parents were like, oh man, we love how you just finally have come out of the closet or whatever and done this. So they're just like, let's just give into it, and they do. One of my favorite characters is a newer character, and it was PC Principal when he first got introduced. It was just, again, he's somebody who's representing a group of people. He represents like the PC extremists, but they did it as a character, not as like a topic of an episode. And I like how they do that sometimes, because then like they can keep going with this like shtick of, okay, here's PC Principal. He's this character. He's a PC extremist character. We could play off of that and make more episodes, and they have done that with like that character specifically. But they have done it with other characters too. But I think all in all, like the big reason that people love the show, it's funny. It's a funny show. They take these topics, they take these people, and they twist them on their heads. They turn everything around. They use them in ways that like you just wouldn't expect. Like, okay, here's one example is literally Mr. Garrison. And again, if you know this character, you know where I'm going, but if you don't, Mr. Garrison was a character who at the beginning of the show, he was kind of battling his like homosexuality. He was denying it. Then he accepts it, and he like fully embraces it. But then he becomes a he becomes a woman because he thinks that's what he is. Then he goes back to being a man. And now he's the fucking president, and he's Donald Trump, basically. Like, that's his character now. It's like, only a show like this could just change a character from literally just being one thing into, like, something completely unrelated. Here's another example, is, in one of the episodes, I think it was the episode where PC Principal first becomes the principal of the school, Cartman tries to frame him and try and get kicked out of the school, so he's not the abuse principal anymore. So he frames him for raping Butters, but then he makes a comment about how, he's like, you don't want to end up like the spokesman for Subway, do you? But then PC Principal goes off a tangent. It's like, did you just use a word that this includes women from an occupation? And then he literally starts beating the shit out of him, fucking slamming him to the mirror and the walls, and literally fucking pounds his face in to the point where he has to go to the hospital. Some of my personal favorite episodes are just the Butters Very Own episode was a very good one. The World of Warcraft episode is one of my favorites as well. The Black Friday trilogy, that was really good. Those were really good episodes. It's where they basically play it's like the kids are all playing Game of Thrones, but they want to use Black Friday to all buy like the next gen console at the time, which was the Xbox One and PS4. But then they all split up because some of them don't want to be on Xbox, and that's what they were all gonna go for. The informative murder porn episode where all the parents are like addicted to the murder porn shows or whatever. So the kids block it by making it a question about Minecraft, so that the parents all learn Minecraft and then they ruin it for everybody. And that's another thing I like about the show. They take these topics and these things that are relevant, and they use it. But and it's not like it's an uncommon thing to do. You know, like there's shows out there that try to bring in stuff, try to do stuff that's more modern, I guess, and be hip for the kids or whatever they fucking think. But then like they just use it in like a poor way. They just kind of like they don't like do anything with it. They just kind of like mention it and then they gloss over it. It's kind of like when you look at like one of those like commercials or whatever, and they use like a fucking meme or whatever. They're like, all these fucking boomers are like, oh yeah, all the kids love this meme or whatever. We should put that in our commercial. Or like when Hillary Clinton said Pokemon Go to the polls and just made everybody fucking vomit in their mouths. It was just it's not like that with South Park. They use it in very creative ways, and they don't make it seem forced. Again, like with that episode for the informative murder porn, they use a question about Minecraft to block their parents from watching the shows. So the parents have to go out and learn Minecraft. So they're all learning Minecraft, but then they're also ruining Minecraft for the kids by becoming griefers, and they're like mimicking it in real life as well. I kind of want to talk about the most recent episode is what I meant to say. The pandemic special. If you haven't seen that episode, that was a good episode. South Park's been away for a while, and they came back with this episode, and they came back strong, because this was a fucking awesome episode, and I loved it. I'm about to spoil it right now, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, I recommend just watching it and then coming back if you want to hear my thoughts. But basically, it's the time of the pandemic or whatever, so Randy goes into town and announces his pandemic special. And then you start seeing the lives of just like South Park itself. Like Cartman wakes up, sings a song about how he loves quarantine and social distancing, and then it starts off by and then Cartman's singing and he gets out of his Zoom call or whatever, and then they learn that they're maybe sending the kids back to school, so now they have to go back to school or whatever, and then they start talking about on the news like a vaccine, and then they said they were tracing it, and they were using again like real life stuff, like like at first we thought it was from a bat, and then they cut to to when Randy was in China with Mickey Mouse in a previous episode. But then they elaborate it, and then they add something new where they add a flashback where Mickey Mouse starts starts fucking a bat, and then invites Randy to join in. So Randy starts fucking the bat, and then we learn that Randy comes back with what he thought was the bad flu, but was actually the virus. And then later on they elaborate how it's not a bat that was the problem, it's a pangolin, which is another animal that we've been thinking it's also came from. And we learn that again he's hanging out with Mickey Mouse in China, and then Mickey Mouse is like, "Hey, you ever had sex with the pangolin?" And they get a room and Randy starts fucking the pangolin. And then they cut back to like all the school stuff with the kids, and they don't have any teachers, and they got new teachers, but all the new teachers are the police officers. So all the officers are the teachers now, but then at school, Cartman's being a little asshole, and then Kyle starts beating him up, and then the cops start shooting, and they aim and they like shoot at Token, and they hit Token with a bullet, but then to cover it up, they say that the school had an outbreak of COVID, so they have to be quarantined for like the 2 weeks or whatever. Then Stan tries to get a hold of Mr. Garrison to try and help them get out, and then Mr. Garrison's like, "Why would I want to cure the virus?" And he explains how it's working for him and how it's killing a lot more Mexicans like he promised. And then Randy thinks he knows the cure, and the cure is his DNA, so he starts expelling his DNA all over the weed, if you know what I mean. And then he tests it with Jimbo, who was in the hospital with the virus. Jimbo comes home, but then like shortly after, he gets sick again, and everybody who's used the weed and has smoked Randy's weed is starting to grow mustaches and get sick. And they all start growing the same mustache as Randy. So now it's like a new virus is out there. And then the kids break out of school to bring Butters to Build-A-Bear, because he never got to go to Build-A-Bear because it all happened when the pandemic started. And then we learn and then they go to Build-A-Bear, and we learn Stan is really just hating everything, and he just wants life to go back to normal. So they keep testing. So they find the pangolin and they give it back to the scientists. And then fucking Mr. Garrison comes up and torches the pangolin and the person holding the pangolin. So now there was no hope. And it's where you see like they take these topics and these ideas and they make it into an episode, and they do it in a very unique way. Like they'll take anything in, like our pandemic that we're going through. That's their whole like topic of the episode, and then they talk about how people, and then they give a nod to like how like kids aren't like doing anything for school because it's all Zoom calls and they can just get out of it and skip it or whatever. And then how now kids are starting to go back to school and how kids are like angry about it. And then they even take about like how people think the pandemic spread, and they twist it into a South Park way by having Randy be the potential culprit. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. This is a different video. It's not like one of my shit-talking videos, but I just thought it would be a fun video to make. I really wanted to talk about South Park. I've been watching a lot of it lately. Again, rewatching a lot of the episodes, and I've just kind of wanted to talk about, I just need a video idea, and I thought about this, so I made it. So, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and do so. It helps me a lot. I really appreciate it. And yeah, South Park. If you haven't watched South Park, I highly recommend. Not to children though. It's not really a show for kids, but I highly recommend watching South Park because it's a very good show. It's a very funny show. I believe it's on HBO Max now. I think that's right. But you could also look up you can go to the South Park official website, and they actually have like a very big selection of like free episodes, and they change it I think every Wednesday. And right now they have a couple of the Halloween episodes on there. So if you want something to watch that's theme of the season or whatever, yeah, there's some things you can watch there. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.